Today on 5 Minute Tones, we're going to have a look at how we can use the crossover to create a modern bass guitar sound with some distortion. I'm playing an Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray. This is Ryan's bass. It sounds really good DI. Here is the DI with all the controls on the bass flat and the volume all the way up. So that already sounds great. What we're going to do is we're going to use a crossover and split out the clean signal from the dirty signal on here and basically blend in different amounts as we like. So the first thing we're going to do, let's set the crossover up. The crossover is a little bit confusing. Essentially what we're going to do here is we'll use this trick where I'm going to set the crossover frequency at 800 hertz. Based on Doug Pinnick from King's X. He's my favorite bass player. He's got my favorite bass sound. This is where he sets a crossover in his rig. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the low pan, both of them to the left, and the right pan, both of them to the right. So what I'll do down here is I'll grab a volume block. This is going to be taking only my low end. The way I get that is to set the input select to left only. So this is just going to get the low end. And then up here, I'll take another volume block and I'll set the input select to right only. So if I set the bypass to mute on each of these, and I turn the high end off, here's just the lows. And if I do the opposite thing over here, this is just the highs. So pretty straightforward. Not a lot going on there, but we're going to distort this part of the signal. So let's just go through here and set up a pretty clean kind of bass sound. I'll start with the SV Bass 2. I'm basically going to set the bass and middle low, turn the treble up just so I've got a nice clean bass sound. And I'm going to bring the level down to about -18. Then I'll chuck it on with this factory cab. There's this cool Dr. Bonkers cab in here shot with a, I think it's on a 2x15. If you just search DB, we'll bring it up, this one right here. So it's with an RE20 and a PZM mic. The PZM mic really helps. All I do is set the low cut to about 40. And I'm going to add a little bit of room level on this, just to give it a bit of space. So if I turn the high end off, this is my cleanish bass sound. And I've probably got a little bit too much input drive going on there, so I'll turn that down. Might even bring the master down a little bit as well. We get this. So that is pretty cool. Let's add in some distortion on the top. So I'm going to use a guitar amp here. Friedman HBE, let's go with the BEC45. I'll turn the drive right up and I'm going to turn the level right down. And you can basically use any guitar cab. I'm just going to go with whatever factory cab number 1 is. And what we can do from here is just blend in a bit of grit on top of our clean bass sound. And basically play around with the mix until you like that. What I like to do after all of that is chuck a compressor on the end. I like the Opto Comp for bass guitar and basically turn the threshold up and the compression down. We want to aim for between 3 and 6 dB of compression on the gain meter. And you can tweak this approach and control the blend between the clean signal and the distorted signal by as much as you like. And obviously, tweaking the EQ here on the amp, you might want to lose a bit of that, add a bit more mid-range in there and really make it ganky sounding. which is pretty cool. And I did say compression before over here. I meant 3 to 6 dB of gain reduction. So just basically use the threshold and the compression to get that kind of feel right for what you like. You can also chuck an EQ at the end of the chain here, or you can use something like the dark glass model instead of an amp if you're running a preset with guitar and bass and you've only got one amp there, or you can replace this amp with just a compressor or a clean DI if you're using an active bass. But that is how I would emulate like that classic King's X style, bi-amped bass guitar sound, lots of distortion, lots of low end using a crossover. And hopefully that also clears up how to use a crossover in the Axe FX3. Thanks for watching.